I'm curious, diving into from your experience, what types of either media channels or messaging have made that connection with your customers. One thing that so I'll give you kind of two perspectives here. So I lead the audience intelligence group at RPA. So our philosophy is, dive into profiles, traits, signals, past behaviors of either your current customers or prospects, and use that to inform how creative design and direction should be set up. Another thing we actually touched upon in another podcast was the concept of Me Too marketing. And sometimes brands fall into a trap where they see a competitor put out an experience or a campaign that's effective for them, and they just want to copy it or somehow put in market something similar, and they think it's going to be effective for them. But I guess I'm curious from your past experience, like what have you seen have been trends in the best ways to conceptualize, creating these experiences that have made the connections?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it starts with understanding what people value about who you are. And I'm not so sure that it's just about having that come across in media. I think in this day and age, people are kind of over brands that convey one thing, but where the nature of the experience that they may encounter, whether that be online or in store, just doesn't live up to that. And so I think you've got to take a more holistic approach to understanding, as I said, what do people value, and then making sure that that comes across in each and every touch point, no matter how big or how small. Like, I'll give you an example. When I was at Sur La Table and I led marketing in e-commerce for Sur La Table, the thing that we understood about our consumer was that they really liked the act of culinary discovery, right? They maybe didn't know how to cook, or conversely, you had people who were coming to us who were professional chefs. But the common trait between the consumers were that they just had this hunger, no pun intended, for cooking and increasing their own level of proficiency. And so, the question then became, well, how do you do that, both in the media channels that we're in, as well as the nature of the experience in store, right? And so, there were purposeful reasons behind relatively simplistic things that people encounter, right? So, for example, we featured cooking tips, in our catalog, because we knew that it was little things like that people were hungry for, right? Just to make some nominal impact on what they made for their friends and family on a daily basis. We actually ended up turning them into a book called Tips Cooks Love. We purposefully had people, touch, feel our knives in store, cut vegetables with them, because it was the only way that you could understand the difference between a Japanese blade and a German blade, right? And how they perform differently. And so, we looked across the business and said, where are the opportunities that we can help to enhance culinary discovery, culinary proficiency? And that's how I think ultimately you bring a brand to life. It's not just what you put out there in media. It's not just, from an in-store experience or online experiences, all of those things working in concert with one another. And that ultimately, I think, is what enables, you to compound messages, to be able to compound, what are the key reasons to believe in a brand, such that it creates this long-lasting perception of what you stand for.